Okay guys, so this is lesson 23. So if you guys would please get out your workbooks and take notes, okay? So today's lesson is totally review, and what it is we're reviewing over factoring. I think there's some of you that can factor really well, and some of you probably that struggle with factoring a little bit. So now's your chance, if you struggle with factoring, to try to get a really clear, simple lesson to help you to start understanding factoring better. And we're actually going to be factoring for a few days. And I just really need you to know, in order to be successful in 1050, you absolutely have got to be able to factor very well. Okay, so let's start with question 1. We're going to distribute. And you might be thinking, what does that have to do with factoring? This is actually the opposite of factoring. So, you know, in order to know how to factor, you have to kind of know how to go the other way as well. So all you're doing is just multiplying, guys. So you just go 3x times x to the second. You're just distributing. So do the numbers. 3 times 1 is a 3. And then on the x's, you have 1 and 2. So I need you to remember that if you have x to the first multiplied by x to the second, you add those and that gives you an x to the third. So that's what you have there, okay? Now do the next one. So do the sign. Positive times a negative is a negative. 5 times 3 is 15. X to the first times x to the first is x to the second. Do the last one. Positive times a positive is a positive. 3 times 2 is 6. And then you've got an x, and that's it. Okay, so just remember the rules of exponents, basically. Okay, same thing here. This term times this term, we're distributing. Positive times a positive is a positive. 5 times 4 is a 20. And then the 5 doesn't have any letters with it, any variables, so it's still just going to be c to the second d. Then right here, 4 times 2 is 8. And then you've got 2 c's and no c's. So that's going to be a c squared. And then you've got a d and a d. And that's also going to give you a d to the 1 plus 1, which is 2. Now do the next one. Positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 1 is a 4. On your c's, you have 2 and 1 for a total of 3. And on your d's, you've got 1 and 1 for a total of 2. And that's all the way multiplied out. Okay? Now we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to factor out a greatest common factor. Okay? So I'm a little nervous if this is recording, so I'm just going to check really fast. So I'm not doing this for nothing. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so question 3, it's actually the opposite of what I was just doing. So if you look at those numbers, you guys, do the numbers first. 4 and 12 and 48. What's the biggest number that goes into all those things? That's a 4. And now look, this guy has 3 A's. This guy has 1 A. This guy has no A's. So I can't take out any A's. I also can't take any B's or C's out because that guy doesn't have B's or C's. So the only thing I can do is just take out a 4. So the variables are going to stay the same, and just the number in front is going to change. So you go 4 divided by 4 is a 1, a to the third, minus 12 divided by 4 is a 3, ab squared, plus 28 divided by 4 is 7. The variables don't change, b to the third c, and that's your answer. That's all you do. Now, if you wanted to check your answer, you could take the 4 and distribute it in, and you would end up with what you have up above. Okay? Let's do question 4. 6, 18, and 30. You can take out a 6. This guy has 2 x's, this guy has 3 x's, and this guy has 2 x's. So if I take the same number of x's out of each of those, what's the most I can take out? That would be 2. Now look at your y's. You've got 1, you've got 1, and you've got 1. So I can take out 1. Now I'm going to see what I'm left with. So 6 divided by 6 is a 1. 4x's, take out 2, I still have 2. 1y, take it out, it's gone. Plus 18 divided by 6 is 3. 3x's, take out 2, I still have 1. 1y, take it out, it's gone. Minus 30 divided by 6 is a 5. 2x's, take them out, they're gone. 1y, take it out, it's gone. That's my answer. And if you wanted to check, like I said before, just distribute that through and you'll get the same answer as what you started with. Okay, 50 and 75. You could take out a 5, but that's not the greatest number you can take out. The biggest you can take out is a 25. C's, you have 3 and 9. So what's the most I can take? I can only take out 3 because that guy doesn't have more than 3 to give. On the D's, you have 4 and 2. So the most they can give would be 2 because that guy only has 2. 50 divided by 25 is a 2. 3 C's, take them out, they're gone. 4 D's, take out 2, I still have 2. Plus 75 divided by 25 is a 3. 9 C's, take out 3, I still have 6. 2 D's, and I take them out, they're gone. There's my answer. Okay, that's the beginning of factoring. That's factoring out a greatest common factor. Okay, we're going to do a couple of foiling problems. I know this is very simple. Why are we foiling? Because it's the opposite of factoring. So if you foiled this, guys, it would be y times y, which is y squared. That's f. That's first. Outside, 2 times y, that's 2y. The I stands for inside, that's a negative 9 times y, that's a negative 9y. And then the last is a negative 9 times a positive 2, that's a negative 18. Add those together and you have y to the second minus 7y minus 18, and that's your answer. Okay, over here, FOIL. Z times z, z to the second. Outside, z times negative 5. That's a negative 5z. Inside, negative 8 times z, negative 8z. Last, negative 8 times negative 5 is a positive 40. Most of the time, those are going to add together, and they will here. A negative 8 and a negative 5 is a negative 13z plus 40, and that's your answer. That's it. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite of foiling, which is called factoring. Okay, now, everybody learned this using different methods, okay? I teach this maybe using a method that you haven't seen before. So, you know, if you know how to factor and you feel good about factoring and your way works, then do it. If you struggle a little bit or maybe more than a little bit, then you might want to follow my process, okay? Okay, what I want you to do is I want you to look at that sign right there. If that's a positive, then it tells you that your signs are the same and that you're going to be adding. If that sign is a negative, that tells you that the signs are different and you are going to be subtracting, okay? Well, ours is a positive, so that means same and add. Look at that x to the second. You're going to split it to an x and an x. When I say same, I mean about the signs. They're both either going to be positive, like that, or they're both going to be a negative. The place that you look to see what they're both going to be is right there. See how that's a negative? That tells you those will both be negative. Then you list the numbers that multiply to give you 12. 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. The numbers that you choose are supposed to add to give you 7. Which ones add to give you 7? 3 and 4. It doesn't matter where they go because the parentheses are identical, so you fill them in and you're done. If you have x minus 4 times x minus 3, it's totally okay. Okay, let's do the next one. You've got a plus, so that tells you that you're adding and the signs are the same. So the y to the second splits to a y and a y. Signs are the same. What are they both going to be? Look right there. They're both going to be negative. Now this one's a little bit tougher because we've got that z squared. and then a z here. Don't let that freak you out, guys. All you have to do is just put a z here and here. Because then when you do L on FOIL, you would go z times z is z squared. So it would totally work out. What numbers multiply to give you 10? 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. Which pair adds to give you that number right there, which is a 7, 2 and 5. Notice the parentheses are identical, so it doesn't matter where the 2 goes or the 5 goes. Stick them in, and that's your answer. Okay, next one. Sign in front of the 72 is a positive. That tells you that you're adding, and the signs are the same. So your y to the second is going to go to a y and a y. Signs are the same. They're both either going to be positive or both going to be negative. Look right there. They're both going to be negative. You know what? Let's change this problem. Let's make them both positive like that, because these have all been negatives. So they're both positive. 72, what gives you 72? 1 and 72, 2 and 36, 3, I think, 3 and 24, and 4 and 18, and 6 and 12, and 8 and 9. Okay, trying to find a pair that adds to give me 17, and there it is, 8 and 9. It doesn't matter where they go, because the parentheses are identical, so you could write it as x plus 8, or pardon me, y plus 8 times y plus 9, or vice versa. Okay, 11's a little different. Look in front of the 12. Now it's a negative, so it tells you that your signs are going to be different and that you're going to be subtracting. So the x to the second is going to go to an x and an x. Signs are different, so I'm going to go one's a plus, one's a minus. Doesn't matter if you go plus minus or minus plus. What numbers multiply to give you 12? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Now I'm subtracting my numbers, and I want to get that number right there, which is a 1. Which of these pairs subtract to give you 1? 3 and 4. But now it matters where they go because the parentheses are not identical. All you have to do is this. Look at that sign right there. The biggest of those two numbers goes to that sign. So the 4 is the negative and the 3 is a positive, and that's it. Okay, look at question 12. Look in front of the 15. That sign's a negative. So that tells you that you're subtracting and that the signs are different. So the x to the second is going to go to an x and an x. Signs are different. Fill them in. Pairs of numbers that give you 15, 1 and 15, and 3 and 5. And I'm trying to subtract to get a 2. So it's 3 and 5. The biggest goes to that sign. So the 5 is the positive, the 3 is a negative, and that's it. Okay, question 13. Look at the sign in front of the 8. It's a negative. So that tells you that the signs are different and you are subtracting. Pairs of numbers that give you m squared, m and m. Signs are different. One's a plus, one's a minus. What two numbers multiply to give you 8? 1 and 8 and 2 and 4. I'm trying to subtract to get a 2. So it's 2 and 4. Where do you put them? The biggest takes that sign. So the 4 is the negative, the 2 is a positive, and that's it. Okay, all right, now we're going to get a little bit more complicated. And now there's going to be a number in front of the x squared or y squared or whatever you've got. Okay, so let's go the other direction first. So let's FOIL this. So you go 3x times x is 3x to the second. Outside is 3x times a negative 7. That's a negative 21x. A negative 4 times x is a negative 4x. A negative 4 times a negative 7 is a positive 28. Add those together. 3x to the second minus 25x plus 28 and that's your answer. And again, the reason we're doing this because this is the opposite of FOILing. So just kind of working backwards for a second. Okay, FOIL, 3x times 2y times 3y is 6y squared. 2y times 7 is 14y. And negative 5 times a positive 3 is a negative 15y. Then a negative 5 times a positive 7 is a negative 35. Add those together and you get 6y to the second minus y minus 35, and that's it. Okay, now we're going to go backwards. We're going to go the other way. I'm going to do 17 first. I'm going to skip 16 and I'll come back to it and I'll explain why in a second. Okay, so look at number 17. This little rule still works, guys. See that plus? That tells you that you're adding your numbers and the signs are the same. But now we've got a 3 with that y squared. So when you split this, it's going to go to a 3y and a plain y. Signs are the same. Look there, they're both going to be positive. What numbers multiply to give you 12? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Now it's like a puzzle, okay? You have to figure out where these numbers are going to go. So guys, maybe you thought the 1 went there and the 12 went there. Well, to figure out if that was really true, the way I could check it is I would FOIL it, okay? Well, the F is already going to work because I already did the 3y and the plain y, and that's 3y squared, so that works. The L is already going to work because all these pairs that I chose all multiply to give you 12. So the way that I'm really going to check if it works is I'm going to do outside and inside. So if it really was 1 and 12, then I'd have 36 when I do outside and 1 when I do inside. Is 36 plus 1, because I'm adding, does that give me 13? No. So I know it doesn't go that way. So it could be this. Could be 12 there and 1 there. Well, that's going to give me 3y and 12y, which adds to give me 15y, and that is also not correct. So I know that 1 and 12 is not my correct pair. Now I could put a 6 there and a 2 there, but I'm not even going to do that because I know that 6 times 3 is 18y, and I'm trying to add to get a 13. I'm already too big. So there's no way that 6 is going to go over there. So I'm going to try the other way. 6 there, 2 there. That gives me 6 and 6, which adds to give me 12, and that's not it. So I tried both ways on the 2 and 6, and it didn't work. So now I'm going to do 3 and 4. So maybe the 3 goes there and the 4 goes there. So that's 12 and 3, which adds to give me 15. So that's not it. So now let's go the other way. Maybe the very last one will work. 4 and 3, and that gives you 9 and 4, which does add to give you 13. So the very last one that I chose worked, and that's my answer. And again, if you wanted to check your answer, you could FOIL it. Okay, let's do another one. Let's go to question, let's go to 16. The reason 16 is tough, you guys, because that 4y squared could split, 4x squared, could split to a 4x and a plain x, but it could also split to a 2x and a 2x. So we've got multiple parenthesis options. Okay, the sign in front of the 3 is a positive. So that tells you that you're adding and the signs are the same. So it's going to be, oh yeah, so then to see what they're both going to be, look in front of the 13 and you can tell they're both going to be negative. So I'm going to fill those in. The nice thing about this, the only things that multiply to give you 3 are just 1 and 3. So maybe first parenthesis could be like that. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times x is x, or 1 times 1 is 1, and 12 plus 1 is 13. So I found the very first one that I chose, that I tried. If that didn't work, I would switch the 1 and the 3. If that didn't work, I would know that wasn't the parenthesis, and then I would come down here and try that one. But I was lucky, and my first attempt worked out, and that's my answer. Okay, let's come down here. Now, this one's going to be different because that's a negative. So we're subtracting and the signs are different. Two numbers that multiply to give me 2x squared. We're going to have a 2x and you're going to have an x. The signs are different, but guys, the parentheses are not identical. So I don't know if it goes plus minus or maybe it goes minus plus, and it matters. So I'm not going to fill those in. I have to wait for a second. Okay? What numbers multiply to give me 3? Just 1 and 3. So maybe I thought it went like this, 3 and 1. Then if I check if that works, outside would give me 2x, inside would give me 3x, and 3x minus 2x is 1x. So that's not it. I'm supposed to be subtracting. So it doesn't work that way. So hopefully it works the other way. So if I do this, guys, I get 6x and 1x, which subtracts to give me 5x. So it totally works. Now to figure out the signs, guys, the biggest goes with the negative. So what's bigger, 6 or 1? The 6 is the biggest. How do I make the 6 the negative? Put a negative there and a positive there. And that's it. Oops, I erased it. That's it. Okay? All right, 2 more, and then you guys are done. Then we're done. Okay, so we've got this double variables, x squared and y squared. You guys, that's not scary. Look, 2x to the second goes to 2x and a plain x. Do you see that y squared? All you have to do is just stick a y right there and then forget about it. It's totally done. So my signs are different, but I can't fill them in because my parentheses are not identical. That negative tells me that I'm subtracting and that my signs are different. What 2 numbers multiply to give me 12? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Okay? So maybe the 1 goes there and the 12 goes there. But then I'll have 24 and 1, which don't subtract, those 2 don't subtract to give me a 5. So that's not going to be it. So maybe the 12 goes there and the 1 goes there. Well, that's 24 and 1, which gives me 23. So that is not going to be it. So that whole option is gone. Okay, so it's not going to be 12 and 1 for sure. Okay, now I'm going to try 6 and 2. So I could go 6 and 2. That's 12 and 2, which subtracts to give me 10. So that is not going to be it. So now I'm going to try the other way. Maybe it's 6 and 2 like that. That's 4 and 6, which subtract to give me 2, and that is not it. Okay, so it's not going to be those ones. Let's try 3 and 4. So if I go 4 there, 3 there, then I'll have 8 and 3, which subtracts to give me 5. So finally I found it. Now what's bigger, 8 or 3? 8. And the 8 needs to be that sign. So to make the 8 a negative, the negative must go there, the positive must go there, and I'm done. Okay? Okay, question 20. 2m squared. It's going to go to a 2m and a plain m. The negative in front of the 4 tells you that you're subtracting and the signs are different. Pairs of numbers that give you 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. I'm subtracting and different, so I can't fill my signs in yet. So maybe I thought it was 4 there, 1 there. That gives me 8 and 1, which subtracts to give me 7. So I got lucky. It was my first attempt. So that's it. What's bigger, 8 or 1? 8. The 8 needs to be that sign. So to make the 8 a positive, it would go there, and the other one negative goes there, and that's it. And like I said, to check your answer, you could just FOIL it. And you could even just FOIL it in your head really fast. You know, one thing I want to say is all of this stuff that we're writing, subtract, difference, 1 and 3, all that, that's not necessary. If you can look at this thing and factor it, then that's awesome. Go for it. This is just like a technique to help you do it. Okay? Okay, that is it. I want you to look at what your homework assignment is, okay? So there is a worksheet 23, and we're going to get that passed out to you right now. But understand there's also some mathematics in actions problems as well, okay? And there are answers to the odds also. So if your quiz corrections are not done, you guys, then you can absolutely work on those right now. Just make sure that you turn those back in before you leave, okay? So if you guys would please turn your desks, get into your groups. We'll get the worksheet to you, but your first priority really should be those quiz corrections. So if you need the quiz corrections, come up right now and get your quiz and start working through those, okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.